Hey everybody, Vicky in the car. Got my bro Concept in the car with me.
What up?
Alright, so you are a Christian rapper, so I have an icebreaker for you.
Okay.
Name your top 3 rappers.
Kanye West, Andy Mineo, and Sho Baraka.
I like Lecrae. Shout out. And then Live, of course. Yes. Alright, so first question. Do you believe in love at first sight?
No, I don't believe in love at first sight because I think love is an action. And in being such, it's one of those things that you have to grow and work and cultivate. Like, I think that there's attraction at first sight. You can be extremely attracted to somebody, in passing or at first glance, and that can push you to want to make a move towards them and see if that's mutual and try to turn it into whatever, progressing in some shape, fashion, or form. But I don't think that initial spark that we see in others when we're attracted to them is love off bat. You know what I mean? Like, it's an attraction, and you can explore that and see what it turns into.
Yeah. Alright, so during the talking phase, dating stage with no commitment, do you think it's okay to date multiple people at the same time until you narrow it down to one?
I do, because I think that if you're open and transparent with whomever you're dealing with, and also for me the answer comes from the disclaimer. I'll say that I wouldn't be sexually active in a relationship outside of marriage. So for me, dating is literally getting to know somebody to see what kind of compatibility there is. And do you have anything in common with this person? What kind of triggers do you set off or do they set off for you? Just what kind of chemistry is there overall? And that's something that's hard to do. And I don't, if you're not committed to somebody, and they are aware of that, and especially if they are seeing other people. I feel like that's a question you have to ask in today's dating pool. You kind of have to ask, are you seeing somebody else? And I guess maybe it's a shame that it's that way, or maybe we're just being more honest about the lives that we're living, because I think that that's probably something that our parents and grandparents were doing, and it just was seen as unacceptable, so it was less vocalized and less talked about. But yeah, I mean, if you keep your clothes on and you working to just really get to know that person, then no, I don't see anything wrong with it. And if I think that also can be a telltale sign of maturity in whoever you're dealing with, also, whether or not they are willing to accept that, because that could be about different things. It could be a control issue. It could be, no, I'm just into you and I want things to be exclusive, which can lead to a different path. And at that point, if you're making a motion to be exclusive with somebody, then yeah, you're gonna cut other people off.
Right. But how do you keep it separate? Have you talked to multiple? How do you keep it separate?
That's a good question, because I don't know the answer to it. For me, I would struggle dating multiple people. I have a problem committing mentally, emotionally, to different people. I feel like in pursuit of my goals and the other things that I have going on in life, just managing all of that to try to genuinely, organically love or give fair respect or a chance to somebody I'm dating. I just don't do well multitasking, in that regard.
So when you do start to date exclusively, when do you think you should invite them to church?
I think you'll know. You'll know when the time is right. I recently started a relationship, and yay. And so, it came from a place of waiting for a long time and being wrapped up in life, music, school, everything. So when my girlfriend and I met, it wasn't long before we started going to church with one another. And I mean, for us, that had everything to do with the fact that we're both believers. So, church is a comfortable space for either of us. And going to church is part of, either of our Sunday routine. So, do you want to go to church with me was a very comfortable conversation to have. And, there wasn't any kind of stress or anything like that. At least not for me. I think maybe it might have been a little uncomfortable for her at first because, my mom, my sister go to my church.
Oh, yeah.
So it was the moments of meeting your parents or meeting your siblings, it was kind of in her face because just off of the straight of I'm going to church with you.
Yeah.
Or even I'm really connected to my church family. So just having to meet a whole lot of people all at once, I'm sure it was a very different feeling for her than myself. So, but I think you'll just know. I think that in spending time with one another and just the investment of investigating one another, you'll know. It'll come up at the right time, and you'll be able to read the other person, because if you ask somebody hey, do you want to go to church with me? And they kind of yeah. You're going to read that first response, you know what I mean? So whether they're nervous for a reason or because that's not really their thing, whatever it is, I think that's going to show in their response. And,
right.
It becomes a conversation piece.
Yeah,
So
some people might not be ready for, because they know you're going to be seen together, so people are going to be oh, and then if you do have to introduce people, they might not be ready for all of that, or they might not be ready, they just mentioned this at church, they might not be ready, to raise their hand, even if you invite a neighbor, how you worship might be a little different than if you're there by yourself, so that might be a thing too.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so that, because it's the first time you're okay, do I put my hands up, do I not, do I dance, what do I do?
Yeah, but I think that that's just being yourself, right? Because it's you want to be transparent, you don't want to hide who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So who I am on Sunday should be who I am on Sunday, regardless of who's there. If my hands were going to go up any other Sunday, then my hands are going to go up if I'm there with my girlfriend, my grandmother, whoever, and I guess for me, a follow-up is, do girls ever ask a guy to go to church to kind of do their own investigative work, to try to figure out personality, I want to see who you are for real, so let me just because it's one thing you can pretend that that's who you are if you're just going out to dinner or something like that, right? But then when it's hey, I want to go to church with you this Sunday, and they if there's any kind of hesitation there, maybe that's are you a Christmas and Easter only kind of person? Or
that could be a red flag. I think, like you said, if that's who you are, I think it should be a part of your relationship.
Absolutely.
So speaking on that too, when do you invite God into your relationship?
I think that he has to be there from the jump, because if not, things can get rather rocky. Speaking from my own experience, I feel a lot of the turmoil that's come in past relationships has been from not including God as much as I knew to. It's so important, and I didn't have a proper soundboard to bounce it against until my recent relationship. As new as it is, one of the things that's been most refreshing about it was how much we yanked God into the center of everything, and it's literally helped for all of the difficult moments, difficult conversations, those first hurdles when you first get on somebody's nerves, your first minor argument or whatever, those kinds of things. It's helped to alleviate and remedy 100% of it. Even when it comes to difficult conversations about something, that's something that we'll put out there. Okay, boom, let's have a difficult conversation real quick. Blech, this issue is on the table, it's messy, and taking the time to pray about those issues separately and corporately has been super helpful, especially because of the fact that like it helps me to not be guarded. It helps me to be vulnerable and to be transparent, because it's not even about my faith in the love of the relationship or how much this person is into me anymore. It becomes so much about God and about him being first, and wanting to be transparent and open and honest in your communication with him, that even in prayer with somebody else, you can't fake that. You ain't finna lie while you praying about an issue. If you angry, you gonna be like, God, I'm angry because blah 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 blah, and yeah, it would be nice if you would help us to figure out what to do, but right now I'm just having a hard time getting over the anger of what he or she did to me, or how they spoke to me, or whatever. So I think that he definitely has to be there from the get-go. And I mean, even looking at the statistics for divorces, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're talking about a Christian relationship or non-Christian relationship, they're higher in Christian relationships. So I think that is an indicator of how much there is a spiritual attack against family. And that's a conversation I was having earlier this week. Is the first institution was the family before the church. So that being the case, I think that the enemy has a special place in the scope for wanting to attack and break up family, because of how much it can decay one's faith or damage somebody at the thought of trying to have a relationship with them. I'm gonna say from the beginning, but also I don't think that there's any wrong time for him to be there either. Like, let's say he's not there in the beginning of your relationship. It's not like 3 months up the road you can't both start going to church together, or if somebody starts going to church somewhere during the life of that relationship, and then they're able to help bring their significant into the body, that's I think that's a beautiful thing.
So what are you guys doing together? Are you fasting? We know you're praying. Are you reading devotions together? What other things do you incorporate?
Fasting, yes, and that's a struggle. Sometimes you're not ready to give up a meal, especially like in my line of work. What I do during the day can be very laborsome, and sometimes you're just subject to the elements. So if it's really hot or really cold or whatever, you want a snack, but I can also say that those have been some of the most rewarding moments, just because of the behind the scenes work that God is doing that I'm unaware of. But fasting and reading plans, devotionals, we'll pick like a bunch of reading plans on the Bible app and then just start working through them, and it makes for conversation between the two of us about the word. There's things that she may think completely off the radar from how I would think.
Right.
So it's always a good exchange of perspective and enlightenment that way. She also is involved in evangelism for the homeless. So that's something that we discussed and that I'm excited to do at some point with her, is to go out and feed the homeless. Right now, that's a good mix for us.
Good. I think that's inspiration for a lot of couples, I think. All right, so you are in the music industry, but you're on the Christian side. So if you were dating somebody who was also in the entertainment realm, but it wasn't per se Christian based, and they might be in secular spaces or atmospheres, does that mean that your relationship can't work?
I don't think it means that it can't work, but I do think that it's going to offer a separate set of challenges and difficulties, because the things that can be required or expected of an artist who's on the secular side of the fence can be something that makes you feel uncomfortable if you're in a relationship with them. Like, I don't know how, like, maybe Nicki Minaj's boyfriend feels, but I know how I would feel if I knew the rest of the internet is looking at the person that I'm in a relationship with for the things that they're, like, they're gonna be looking and having whatever thoughts run through their mind. But that's a part of her persona. That's a part of her brand. It's a part of the character that Nicki Minaj is. So to ask somebody to break themselves from who they are in that regard, I think is unfair, because I'm under the assumption that this is who they were when I met them. So I can't ask you to be somebody that you're not, and you shouldn't get into a relationship trying to change somebody. I don't think that it will make the relationship impossible, but it's for sure going to make it difficult.
Right. And so do you think that would be, like, some would look at that like, oh, that's unequally yoked? You hear that word a lot.
They may, and, people are entitled to their opinions. They can think whatever they want. Megan Good and her husband, right?
Yeah.
So she's an actress and has been in a number of different roles. Some more wholesome than others, or portrayed in a certain way because of the character, not necessarily who she is as a person, but it forces the outside world to look at her a certain way. Now let's put the world's perspective to the side and look at who she chose to have a relationship and spend her life with. That's a man of God, right? So in that decision, I think that speaks volumes about her, the woman that she is, the kind of vision that she has for her home, her life, her future. So even back to the previous question of, can it work between artists, if one is secular and one is not? There's an existing example of it working. And I think that it depends on the individuals and how much they're committed to choosing one another and making things work. Yeah.
Right. That's good. So do you think that people, like, if you're on the ministry side, people would judge your relationship because you're dealing with a person who's secular? But I guess, like Megan Good, in that situation, they do judge that relationship and look at him maybe a little differently because of her.
I do think that people would judge you in that situation, and in my mind, that's one of those moments where you just gotta walk in the boldness of who you are, and your relationship with God is your relationship with God. Nobody else has to answer for your life or your behavior. So when I have my conversation with God about who I spent my life with, it's gonna be on a level where he and I both understand the ins and outs of my heart as well as that person's heart. Right. So nobody else becomes a part of that conversation. So I'm a little inclined to not care, and to be unapologetic about it, because it doesn't necessarily, people will judge you for anything, Right now, I'm wearing a Dallas Cowboys hat, right?
They will definitely judge you
so,
about that.
Who knows? This could be a part of the comments, right? Nothing to do with the interview, but just because it is, somebody's going to have an opinion and want to say something. It could be lyrics in a song, and people have an opinion about it. People are always going to look for something to criticize and to judge, and whether it's their place to or not. So my relationship, it could be scrutinized because of that dynamic, but I'm not gonna let the rest of the world's perspective drive what I do or how I think about what I do.
Right. That was great. Let everybody know where they can find you, what you got going on, a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so my artist name is Concept. Right now, the single Change Your Mind, as well as the remix, as well as another single called Get It, are all available on iTunes, Tidal, Spotify, Amazon MP3 store, wherever you can think of that there may be digital music, you can find it there. I have a mixtape on SoundCloud right now called Shorts. It's also on my YouTube channel. YouTube channel is at Chris2 Nation. That's CRISTU Nation. You can find me on Instagram at Concept Thompson. You can find me on Facebook at concept_the_rapper. So I'm absolutely open to working with local artists, major artists, indie artists, gospel or secular. I think that there's a place where we can all come together and share our artistry for the sake of making beautiful music. So please hit me up, and also stay tuned for the next episode of Vicky in the Car.
Yes, guys. All right, this was great. See you guys.